Hi, I'm Deanna VOODOO.
Hi, I'm William Langley.
Hi, I'm Ebony St. Julian.
I'm Terry Tavera.
Hi, I'm Shalina Ibaran.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Cervantes.
And I'm Hunter Burnett with the questions. We're here to tell you about Louisiana culture and how we do things down here in the Dirty South.
When you come to Louisiana, you'll see that it can be separated into 5 different parts. But according to Folklore Louisiana article, Louisiana has 3 distinct cultures. First, we have South Louisiana, which is considered the triangle. It goes from Alexandria to New Orleans to Lake Charles. Within this triangle, you're gonna have distinct flavors of food, distinct cookings. We put everything over rice. We celebrate Mardi Gras. It starts the day after Lent. It is a huge celebration. People are all from work. We also have festivals that celebrate pretty much everything. All our food from duck to boudin, they're all year long. You can find them. And when you're at these festivals, that's where you'll experience our culture with music, which is gonna be zydeco, jazz, you can have some blues in there. Then from there, you have North Louisiana, which is from Alexandria to the Arkansas border. A lot of Scott Irish and British settled in here. There wasn't a lot of slavery. But up here you're gonna find hardworking people, a lot of Baptists, a lot of Methodists. Those, they do have some of the foods we have. They're mostly doing barbecue, they're doing fried foods. It's a little bit different. Then you're gonna have your third culture, which is really in your Florida parishes. There's a lot of hunting going on over there. That's gonna be from Lake Pontchartrain to East Mississippi. There's a mixture of cultures there, a lot of diversity in this area. But their food consists of barbecue, smoked foods, jams, jellies. They have a lot of gospel and a lot of bluegrass music in there. So when you combine all of this within the state of Louisiana, you're gonna come across 3 distinct cultures within one state, just making it a really great place to live.
In Louisiana, we love hunting and fishing so much that we named our state after it, the Sportsman's Paradise. I think that Lieutenant Governor Bobby Nungesser said it best. We know you can catch fish anywhere, but in Louisiana, you catch fish. And we'll show you how to cook it too. So when it comes to hunting, you can hunt waterfowl, deer, and wild hogs from November to January. And we have 53 wildlife management areas which are regulated and maintained by the state to ensure the longevity of hunting for future generations.
Next, we have the culture of football in Louisiana. It's largely in part due to the fact that Louisiana has 2 of the most prominent sports franchises stretching from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, with the LSU Tigers and the New Orleans Saints. LSU is the largest university in the state and has produced the most team and individual NCAA championships. This is largely due to the fact LSU is represented with the largest number of players on NFL opening day rosters with 51. Switching over to the Saints have come a long way from their Aints days when the fans would wear paper bags over their heads. That's how bad they were. Since the signing of Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees and Hurricane Katrina, the Saints have gone 7-5 in the playoffs, concluding with a 2009 historic Super Bowl run where he beat another future Hall of Famer Peyton Manning to give the state of Louisiana its first NFL championship.
New Orleans and Mardi Gras. New Orleans is the major U.S. port and largest city and metropolitan area in Louisiana. It's the most unique and known for its distinct French and Spanish Creole agriculture. It's also famous for its cuisine, music, the birthplace of jazz. Its annual celebrations and festivals. Now they have many celebrations and festivals, but one particular celebration people in South Louisiana celebrate and go to New Orleans mostly is Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is also known as Fat Tuesday, and going to New Orleans for Mardi Gras can be fun, and you get a piece of everything. Topless women, drunk people, crowded streets, alcohol, and even king cake. And I have to have my king cake every Mardi Gras.
Gotcha.
which is king cake is only eaten on Mardi Gras. Flashing up the breast by women for getting beads is a tradition at Mardi Gras. For Mardi Gras, there are a lot of parades, and the first Mardi Gras parade was held in New Orleans in 1837. You can expect a lot of people to be at parades, especially in New Orleans. It's just a crazy time of year. New Orleans is full of fun, surprises, festivals, and celebrations if you're looking for something to do.
Voodoo has been a long-standing part of the culture of the city of New Orleans. It originates in the coastal West African area. It was brought over here by slaves. The word originates from the Fon linguistics VOODOO, which means gods or spirits. Slaves brought it over into New Orleans. When the slaves were here, the French slave owners allowed families to stay together. So that's how this practice was passed down from generation to generation and not lost. Within voodoo, you're going to have what's called a gris-gris, which it can be good or bad. There's spells that people can put on people for goodness or for harm, for love. Marie Laveau is one of the most famous voodoo goddesses, queens that there ever was. She was reigned pretty much in New Orleans from the 1820 to the 1860s. She eventually went to Catholicism, which is what most people that practice voodoo did because it was the closest thing to their own religion. Today, only about 15% of people in New Orleans and surrounding areas practice voodoo. There are still some churches where the voodoo queens hold ceremonies, and some people in the surrounding areas and around South Louisiana practice what's called hoodoo, which is very similar to voodoo with spells, burning of candles, no sacrifices of animals, but it is very closely related.
Louisiana has a strong connection between its food and family. Recipes are passed down from generation to generation, and every family changes a bit for their own taste. Jambalaya is a chicken and sausage or seafood dish mixed with rice, chopped celery, onions, and bell peppers. Gumbo is a spicy chicken and sausage or seafood soup made with a brown roux with rice. It's most common to eat in the winter for people to warm up. Boiled crawfish is boiled in a big pot with spices, whole potatoes, onions, and corn. It's the main event for family get-togethers whenever you call everyone up and invite them over to enjoy and just make good memories. Crawfish etouffee is crawfish tails in a reddish-brown sauce over white rice. Crawfish pies are a crawfish mixture in a deep dish pie plate or into empanadas, which are like handheld pies. Cracklins are small pieces of seasoned fried pork skin. Red beans and rice is red beans with sausage and grilled or fried chicken served with a bed of white rice. Boudin is pork and rice in a sausage casing. A pistolette is a thin fried piece of bread roll. Sweets that we have in Louisiana, one of them is a beignet that is a Louisiana French version of a donut covered in powdered sugar. The best place to get them at is Café du Monde, which is in New Orleans. The New Orleans version of a snow cone is a snowball. It's slightly different. It has finely shaved ice. It's your choice of your favorite flavor of sugarcane syrup, which is very common to get in the summer to cool off.
Music. Louisiana music is just as spicy as the food, and it speaks to the soul like gumbo on a cold day. Allow me to tell you about the music I grew up listening to, from backyard barbecues to Bourbon Street's rhythm and blues. The culture of Louisiana music is very diverse. The culture of Louisiana music can be divided into 3 separate genres in 3 different regions. Beginning with jazz, that music that can be heard down the streets of New Orleans any day of the week. Another great genre of music that molds the culture of this Cajun country is zydeco. Bands form through dynasties of musically inclined families, playing everything from accordions to washboards. We'll have you learning our quick-paced two-step. And lastly, in the northern woods of Louisiana, you can expect to experience the sounds of our country music, often called rockabilly. Our rich culture blend of music comes from immigrants across a variety of nations who have brought along their traditional music and settled in Louisiana.
Cajun French is the term used to describe the varieties of French in South Louisiana. Acadian French was the language of 17th century France. It was originated by the French and Acadians who came from Louisiana from the European colonization. In 1912, there was a push to conform to American values, and French was banned in schools, and children were only allowed to speak English. So Cajuns began to grow up without their ancestral language, and less than 5% of Cajuns born in the last 50 years know how to speak French as their primary language. The Council for the Development of French in Louisiana was created to bring French back into the educational system, and the French immersion program was created to give students a chance to learn their subjects in French and carry on the French language.
A little bit south of Baton Rouge, there's a hub city in this day and age called Lafayette, Louisiana. But it wasn't always so. Before the 1800s, there were English traders who brought their wares up the Vermilion River in violation of French and Spanish laws at the time. Although they ran into an obstacle, they couldn't get their boats past the shallow waters of the Vermilion. So they tied their boats up and they sold their wares to the traders, the natives, and the hunters in the area. They gave it the name Little Manchuck, although it didn't stick around for too long. The more favorable name, Pinhook, is what stuck, at least until the 1800s. The name Pinhook is an interesting story behind that as well. There was a man who had a restaurant right by the Pinhook Bridge, and he became famous for the fried chicken he sold. And one of his patrons got curious, decided to follow him around for a day to see where he procured these fine chickens. So he sees the man open up the windows to his kitchen. He takes a pin, bends it. He takes a piece of corn, puts it on that pin, throws it out the window. His neighbor's chickens invaded his yard. So he reeled them in one by one until he had enough chickens for the day. That's why we call it the Bridge of Pinhook. And the name stuck around until the 1800s when French priests from Attakabat visited the land, built a church, l'Église de Vermilionville. And the name Vermilionville took over. In 1820, they built a Catholic church. They couldn't have the name Lafayette as it was a suburb of New Orleans at the time. Although in 1884, that suburb became incorporated into the city of New Orleans. So Vermilionville took that name and it's stuck ever since. Lafayette, Louisiana.